If you love LLMs or generative AI as most of us do, so imagine a world where you can use those LLMs to help you write better code, understand your code repositories, help you write tests, documentation, and so much more. I know you've probably already told me that there is actually tools like that, something like the Copilot, the GitHub Copilot, that's already been there. Yes, GitHub Copilot is great, it's awesome, but let's all agree, it's actually paid and it's owned by GitHub, so you have to pay, I don't know, the pricing in here is a little bit like $10 per month and $100 per year. So you have to pay for that. There isn't something free and reliable that could just give you everything out of the box. So instead of doing that, we can actually combine a bunch of open source tools that could give us basically the same experience, but for free. So later on, you can integrate it inside of VS Code or whatever code editor you like, and you can actually chat about your code base. For example, telling it here, oh, give me about this page.tsx in here, take this page.tsx and actually add Tailwind CSS to this component. And it will simply just go ahead and take all of that one and actually add Tailwind CSS classes to make it look awesome with a really, really nice design and layout. And yeah, that's all free. And actually, I'm using a local LLM model in here. I'm not using ChatGPT or any other API-based model that you need to pay for. No, everything is open source and free, and everything is local and is going to be hosted inside of your machine. All right, so the awesome tool in here that's actually going to replace a Copilot, or which is the Copilot, but with open source projects, it's called Continue, and it has actually both extensions for the VS Code and JetBrains. So whatever you prefer, you can actually find the right extension for your IDE. So this basically gives you all the features you need, from like tab autocomplete in here for autocomplete while you're writing code, reference and chat. So like you can reference snippets of your code base and actually chat about this one and tell it, oh, to convert, transform, or fix any code you have, or highlight and instruct as well. So like you can highlight and instruct it to change the code in line right inside of your IDE, which is absolutely amazing. I've been using it right now and it's actually really cool. And basically you can use it with a bunch of models, from like local Ollama setup to OpenAI. If you have an API key, you want to actually pay a little bit for doing that, not much, but just a teeny tiny bit. LM Studio in here, which is like local, Anthropic, maybe Azure, Mistral, and so much more. And the awesome part about it, you can give it different context, from your own code base to GitLab issues, or your external documentation, Confluence pages, vector databases, IDE extensions, LLM proxies. It has tons of awesome features that's basically going to make our lives as developers a lot easier. So simply to get started with this one, you need to go ahead and install the extension right inside of your IDE. So I already did that one. It's basically the icon once you install it. So just head over to extensions, install the Continue in here, and that should just basically be it. Now, the most important part that you need to make sure you set up correctly are the LLMs. So you've got a bunch of choices you can use. As I said before, you can use OpenAI. So if you want to use OpenAI GPT-4o or GPT 3.5, you can provide your API key and Continue will actually give you all the features you like. Or if you just want to use everything for free, everything from your open source loved models, like for example, Llama 3 or Phi 3 in here, or Mistral, Gamma, any of that sort of models, you can actually use one of these awesome tools. First one is called Ollama, which basically allows you to run all of these LLMs right on your computer with a very simple setup. So you can pull the models and just run them very, very easy with a nice CLI and a nice, awesome graphical user interface. Or the second tool in here, which actually I'm a big fan of, is called LM Studio, which actually gives you everything like in a user interface in here, a graphical user interface. So you can chat about like whatever you want. You can choose different models. You can copy models. You can even start an inference server. So you can later on use that server with Continue or the Continue extension. So either one, if you choose this one, they're both like available for all platforms like Mac or Windows or Linux. You can easily install them. I really recommend actually going and actually trying both, because sometimes you need a graphical interface, sometimes you need Ollama. I'm a big fan of Ollama because it's very easy to set up and very straightforward. So I would actually advise you, if you just want to use it for the Continue extension, go with Ollama. Go ahead and download Ollama very easily and just install it. It's very straightforward. The only thing in here that's missing is actually Windows, which is in the preview version right now, so that should be pretty decent, but sometimes it's a little bit buggy. Mac OS and Linux, you guys are good to go. So the next step in here, you need to go and actually open up a terminal in order to access the Ollama through the CLI, which is the recommended way for running models and actually, pulling down models and running them and interacting with them. So of course, make sure to install Ollama first. So once you do that, you can just go to run Ollama -help in here to make sure that everything is installed correctly. Next thing in here, you can go and actually run the Ollama list command to see exactly what models you've already got installed and downloaded for you. So for me in here, I've got a bunch of them. I've got Llama 2, Llama 3, 8 billion parameters, and DeepSeek Coder, and I've got the Star Coder 2, 3 billion. So the recommendation in here, what models that you should use specifically for using it with the continue extension and specifically for using it to help you to write, code for tab completions and chat about your code base. So like an AI assistant, I really recommend installing Llama 3 8 billion. I recommend actually installing the Star Coder 2, and optionally, you can actually go ahead and do the DeepSeek Coder, which is pretty awesome model as well that you can, has been trained on trillions of like code and lines of code and programming languages. So you can actually interact. Both of these, like the DeepSeek Coder and the Star Coder 2, are meant for tab completions because they are actually perfect. But for about chatting about your, code base, you can either use these two in here or Llama 3 in here, which is pretty perfect as well. So pull these 3 models in here and you should basically good to go. Now, another warning in here, actually running those LLMs, sometimes they're huge, and make sure to only pull small models in here, like 8 billion or 3 billion or something like that. Don't go with like Llama 70 billion because that's, unless you have a really good, huge GPU, VRAM GPU. But if you have like, for example, an M1 or M2, M3 Max sort of thing, those will actually run absolutely fine for you if you go for the smaller ones. But if you have Windows and you have like a GPU and stuff, yeah, that will run perfectly awesome. So for example, we want to pull the Star Coder 2, 3 billion parameters. So you can just use these commands. So Ollama, you do pull, and you give it the name of the actual model that you want to pull out. So I can do the 3 billion, click enter, and this will go ahead and actually download the model right over there. So of course, if you want to check exactly what models you can do, you can just go head over to ollama.com and search about whatever models you've got. So for example, Llama 3 in here, if I click on it, it's going to take me to the Llama 3 page, how I run it, the different, information about the model, like parameters and quantization and so much more. Now, once you're done and you've got all the models you need, you can just go and run Llama serve command to start the server. Now, I have already that running, so that's why it says, oh, you've got already that running, so you can't run it again, and the address is already in use. All right, perfect. Now we need to configure the continue extension in here to tell you that we want to use Ollama with a different model. So clearly in here, I've already got it configured. So it just goes and auto detects whatever models you've got, and it gives me a list in here. It gives me the ability to select from the list like whatever you like. So if I can go ahead and do Ollama, Star Coder 2, or DeepSeek, or Llama 3, or even Llama 2, which is pretty old, or even have LM Studio in here configured. So how you can do that, you can just go and run the command palette on VS Code and do continue configure or openconfig.json, and this is basically the main config.json for the continue extension. Now for the models in here, you can actually give it whatever model. So you can either give it this, like you say the title in here, you want to name it Ollama, the provider you have to put Ollama, and whatever models you can do, you can just use the auto detects, and this will tell continue extension to go ahead and look at Ollama, list all the models, and basically give you all the models inside of that list in here. Same thing for LM Studio, whatever title, LM Studio, provider is LM Studio, and you can give it specifically the model that you want to use, for example, Llama 3 8B. Now, the next thing you need to make sure that you actually configure properly is what model that you should use for the autocomplete. So you can do tap autocomplete model, the title in here is Star Coder 2, provider Ollama, and you give it the model in here Star Coder 2 3 billion. Or you can use the DeepSeek Coder, but I would prefer this for now. Now, perfect. You've got everything set up. So just to run the extension itself, you can just go and open up the extension from the toolbar, and you can see exactly what's going on. So I can go and run a new or start a new conversation from the list in here. I can select Llama 3 billion, DeepSeek Coder, or Star Coder 3 billion. I mean, Llama 3 actually is pretty good for the conversational matter, but for autocomplete, as said before, Star Coder 2 or DeepSeek Coder are pretty awesome. So for example, we can access what is React.js in here. And remember, we're using Llama 3 in here. So just because I'm recording and I've got like resource heavy recording and there's so many things going on in here I'm trying to record. So it's crazy, you're going to notice that's a little bit slow because I'm using or utilizing a lot of GPU and a lot of CPU stuff. But before I was recording, it was actually pretty smooth and pretty good. And of course, as I said before, running LLMs actually all depends on your computer and how fast it is, how much RAM or VRAM RAM inside of your GPU you have already. So that all kind of like depends on the hardware. But it's actually basically answering the question about React.js in here, just giving you like when it started and stuff like that. So instead of using Llama 3 in here, which is a very heavy one or 8 billion one, I'm going to go and actually use the StarCoder 3 billion, which is a little bit lightweight and it's pretty awesome. And this model is actually meant more for code stuff. So let's go ahead and put this AI assistant into the test. So for example, we've got this awesome code base in here that is, an e-commerce store using Vercel. Actually runs on Next.js with React, so it has a bunch of cool stuff. So I want to actually ask it about a couple of like features, how they work, so I can, I want to make modifications, but I'm not the one who wrote this source code or this repository, this project. So I'm not exactly sure how it works, and I don't want to spend hours or days reading through the source code. I just want to make it quick and easy, just go in and, do some changes for that. So this is basically the e-commerce store we've got in here. We've got like a couple of hoodies and mugs you can sell or you can buy. You can actually go ahead and look at a cart in here. You can search for products and, go to different categories. So for example, what I want is actually want to go ahead and see how can I change this cart. For example, right now it uses euros, right, for the currency, but I don't want to actually use euros. I want to actually target this for the US customers. So I want to make this USD instead of euros. So how can I change this quickly in the code base using the help of the AI assistant to read for me the code base? I don't want to actually go ahead and dig deeper and spend hours digging deeper and understanding code. I want the code or AI's code assistant to do that for me and help me find the spot. So of course, first what I need to go ahead and do is actually go into the cart component here, and I can notice that the cart component isn't much. It's just going through this cart model. So I can go ahead and open the cart model and immediately notice that basically this is where the magic should be happening. So I can go ahead and select everything in here. I make sure to open up the continue like right into the sidebar, and I'm gonna right click in here, go to the continue option and do add highlighted code to context. And you immediately notice that the code that we have, or the source code that we highlighted in here, is added to the shadow here as a context. So I can ask whatever question I want about this. So I'm going to do and say in here, can you help me change the currency from euro to USD in all places inside the cart model? And make sure you actually change this to DeepSeek Coder instead of the Start Coder, because Start Coder is only meant for tab auto completions, which is very bad with like chatting with the code. So DeepSeek is pretty good, or Llama 3 is pretty good as well. But I'm gonna go with DeepSeek for this. I'm gonna go ahead and click enter, let it think a little bit about exactly what it's gonna do, and it's gonna start explaining. So it immediately knew that we've got this price component that should be changed. So this, you can set the currency right over here, set currency code to USD. So, and it basically also tells you that you can convert from euro to USD using this. I know, of course, goes through exchange and stuff, but at least it gives you like where exactly that conversion should be happening and what component is responsible about this one. So for example, I can go ahead and look for the price. So it tells me this is basically the price component. So I can just go and do search for the price in here. I've got the first one. I think I've got a couple of ones. This is one for taxes and this is for the total. So I need to make sure I change everything. So for example, let's say I'm going to just change the one for the total price in here. So I'm going to go to, currency code. This is basically what it tells us we change. So we change currency code in here from euro to USD. So I need to pass in USD in here, and I can go ahead and do the conversion to 1.2. I don't know. As I said before, it depends on the exchange, but this should get the job done for now. And just make sure you convert that to string, of course, and that should be good to go. So if I go back in here, I can immediately notice that it changed it from euros to USD. So I've got everything else in euros because I haven't touched that, but the total in here is in USD instead of euros, and I've got the right conversion. So the AI assistant kind of like helped us a lot. And I really like the explanation here because it makes a lot of sense. And it even tells you that you can replace the 1.2 with the actual conversion rate between euro and USD. And maybe you need an API for that as well. All right, so for another example, let's say we've got this checkout page that I've created, just new checkout page in here. It has literally no styling. So it has no Tailwind CSS, no good layout, just stuff laid down in here in a really horrible way. So if you look at it right now, this is basically how it looks like. It has literally no styling. So what I want to use the AI assistant in here to help me take this code and convert it and add Tailwind CSS into this. So all I can do is just go and select everything I said before and go ahead and do the continue in here, add highlighted code to context. Or instead of doing that, screws in here, it's telling you that you can edit the highlighted code using Command plus I. So if I press Command plus I and have the highlighted code in here, so Command plus I, I've got this input prompt in here to enter exactly what you want to do with this code or how you want to edit this code. So I want to say make or add Tailwind CSS styling classes to the checkout component. So it would basically have a nice style and layout. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter. Of course, it's going to start thinking a little bit in here. And Squeezy is going to do this editing kind of style in sort of magical way. Inline styling kind of changes. And he's basically adding the classes right away. And it tells you exactly what stuff that has changed and what stuff has not. So you can imagine this like in a get different style kind of thing. So yeah, that looks pretty good. But sometimes it spits, or the LLM model spits wrong stuff, for example, big instances and stuff. So that's why I really prefer just highlighting everything and adding it to the chat than actually inserting it back. Or of course, it depends on what LLM model you use. I try those too, and they, sometimes have these kind of issues, but most of the times it should be good enough. So for example, I can go ahead and hit accept all in here to accept all the changes. I don't know, it's telling me this. Yeah, so I basically need to just go ahead and add or make sure the div is correct in here. So if I take a look, I've got a bunch of classes or bunch of Tailwind CSS classes have been added to me for here, or added for me in here into the code base with comments. So I really like this one. So if I go ahead and actually Control S for saving, go back in here, and there you go. So it added everything, but everything now is in white. And yeah, it's really, I can't see that one because everything is in white. So of course you can go ahead and fix that manually. You can even ask AI about it to fix it for you. So simply you can just do text, black, something, and that should turn all the text into black. All right, another cool example in here I really wanted to do is actually moving or trying to use the AI assistant to help you write cleaner code and convert your bad code into a cleaner version for something like following solid principles, for example. So for example, I got this code repository in here that has a bad code and has a good code from the solid principles tutorial that I did before, of course. So I got this bad component that doesn't follow the single responsibility principle. So you're not familiar with solid, you can go and watch the video and come back in here. But solid principles in here, this component doesn't follow the SRP principle. And it's pretty bad component. It's not clean at all. It's very horrible. So I'm going to go ahead and actually select everything in here and ask the assistant to help me turn this into a better code. So I'm going to do the same thing, right click in here, continue, add highlighted code in here to the context. And I'm actually going to ask it, can you convert this bad code into good code that follows the single responsibility principle in React? And I'm also instructing it that you can create new components if needed, because that's basically the main point of solid principles, actually splitting one huge big component into smaller components that each has its own responsibility. So I'm going to go and click enter in here, let it think a little bit. And there you go. Now it started actually refactoring everything. So it started by, splitting it. So it's telling you that you can refactor your component following a single responsibility principle by splitting it into smaller parts. So it immediately realized that we need to split that huge component into smaller components, like the input component, for example, the edit user profile, and it has like handle input change and whatever. So it basically realized that, which is pretty good, and I really love this one. But the only thing in here is actually telling me that you can insert other components, but it didn't do that for me. So sometimes it gets it the wrong way. So I don't know, I imagine I want to use Llama 8 billion for this one, for example. I'm going to create a new chat in here, select everything, do the same highlight, paste the same kind of prompt, click enter, and Llama in here is going to take a little bit more time. All right, so on the other hand, using Llama 3 in here, it actually did a pretty good job compared to the previous model. So it split this into edit user profile.js, which is like the main parent component that literally has, everything in here, but it actually split the smaller parts in here, like the other ugly component, like the forms, the different buttons, for example. The image uploader thing, it put it into its own component. So this is actually the component. For example, user profile form, user profile image in here where you can upload the image, user profile errors where, a bunch of errors could happen. So yeah, in regards, Llama 3, 8 billion parameter, or if you add more parameters, that's basically going to help you allow chatting with your code base. So yeah, you can actually go and try other examples like commenting code, writing tests. For example, I did try it to run playwright test and it was pretty good. You can play around with it. But what I actually advise you guys to land on the best model is actually to download a bunch of models. And each time you've got a difficulty using one model, you can actually easily switch it to the other model and ask it the same question and see how it responds. So this way you can have a variety of models and basically you've got better chance resolving the error or helping you code or being a good AI code assistant. But of course, as everything else and as generative AI, it sometimes fails to accomplish the task. All right, so one last thing I just want to actually go ahead and try is actually tab autocomplete, where you're actually typing code and the model is going to try to autocomplete for you, or like have different suggestions and help you write the code. So for example, I've got this utility class in here, I've got numbers to Typescript. I want to write a function that takes a large number, like for example, 1,000,000 or something, and it converts it into a symbol or a numeral. For example, like from 1,000,000 to 1M, like YouTube does for views or stuff. So I want to just go ahead and type a comment in here. I want to do large numbers, or I want to actually instruct it to create a function to convert large numbers to numerals. And I'm actually giving it an example in here. So let's see how it's going to do. It's going to do public static. I don't know why it's using public static for this one. So let me just go and change the tab autocomplete model in here from the star coder to the DeepSeek Coder 6.7b. Maybe that's a little bit better. I don't know what's going on with the other model. It's actually acting very weird lately. So we're going to try it again in here. Add another comment, says, oh, and add also comments for thousands and millions placeholders. Okay. And there you go. So it suggested this function, large number to numerals. If I click tab, it kind of like inserts the function. So the function here just like checks if 1 to the power of 9 or 6 or 3, and it adds either K, M, or B for billion, which is pretty good. So I just need to add TypeScript typing with this, and I think the function should work. Awesome. Tab completion is pretty good too. So there guys, thank you for watching. This has been finding the right AI assistant, just running it locally, no dependency on other API, just absolutely for free, everything for free and open source. And hopefully this will actually help you write better code. So there guys, see you hopefully in the next ones.